Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Mayor Rich Hill from the Village of Round Lake Beach, and tonight we're hosting another Fireside Chat at our Cultural and Civic Center. Tonight we have Dulce Ortiz that's joining us tonight. She's the Executive Director of Mano Family Resource Center over in Round Lake Park since April of 2019. She's responsible for leading the Mano team in the implementation of their mission through planning, programming, and community engagement. She also plays a key role in the development of strategic community partnerships and leads the policy advocacy agenda. She has been actively involved with the nonprofit sector and has dedicated her time to serve as a board member on different social, environmental, business, health, and governmental organizations in Lake County. Before joining Mano, she spent 17 years at Waukegan Township. That's a long time. And several different positions, most recently as the Human Resource Manager. Oh, that's very interesting. That's what I do for my full-time job. In her time at the township, she gained diverse experiences in organizational management and community programs, as well as a deep understanding of community needs. She holds a bachelor's degree from Robert Morris University. She's an advocate for the underserved and vulnerable population, and she brings her expertise and drive to help immigrant families with opportunities so they can integrate into American life. She's originally from Mexico City, Mexico. Welcome.
Well, thank you, Mayor. Thank you for the invitation. I'm very happy to be here, happy to let you guys know about the amazing things that we have going on at Mano. And our 20th year anniversary is actually this year, so we're pretty excited about things that we have going on.
Yeah, 20 years went by really quick. I remember when Mayor Isla Bauer put us all together with her chief of police and Bruce Johnson.
Yes.
And they brought it around, and it was such a great idea. And it's served a lot of people in 20 years.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I think that our mission to empower immigrant families to become full participants in their communities, it's a vision as well for us to make sure that, you know, communities like the Village of Round Lake Park and the Village of Round Lake Beach and all of the surrounding communities, you know, make these families feel like members of their communities, and they have so much to give back to.
Sure. Well, let's start out here. Can you give us a little bit of background and history about yourself and how you came to be the director of Mano?
Yeah, sure. So as you stated, I worked for governmental entity, which is Waukegan Township, for 17 years. So they got me when I was pretty young. And I really learned about, you know, because of the different cities that we served, about the struggles of the underserved communities and low-income residents, and what it meant for government and for other community organizations to come together, partner, and be able to provide those resources. So, I'm very blessed to have had that experience because it really led me into my path of being a servant for the community. So also on my time off, I was a volunteer, very involved with other community organizations in the Waukegan or Chicago area. And I was very involved with the immigrant community, the African American community, and also I developed a passion for environmental justice. So I also do some environmental work. With all of that experience put together, I think that, you know, it was like a perfect molding for me to become part of Mano. So when I saw the opportunity, Megan and I, the previous executive director, had been colleagues and friends for approximately 8 years. Okay. So we had served on boards together. So when she said, well, you know, this is an opportunity, you know, what do you think about it? And, you know, I didn't think twice, and I applied, and here I am.
Oh, wonderful. You mentioned that it's 20-year anniversary of Mano.
Yes.
Can you explain the history and the mission of Mano to include kind of the description of the government body or the board, or how they actually are structured?
Yeah, so, as you mentioned, the history with the previous Chief of Police, Bruce Johnson, who's still part of our board, the State Representative, Bobian, and also the Mayor, Isla Bauer, that they came together. They saw that there was a need that needed to be met. in regards to the Latino community. And so that's what drove pretty much our mission, right? And we're pretty grateful that we still have our board of directors, Chief Falenko, Ron Lake Park, Chief of Police, and also he was a previous board member. Bruce Johnson is still there. So the makeup of our board represents the communities that we serve. And so for us, it's pretty important to have that representation. It's pretty important for us to, have that history, but also continue to keep that history in mind to keep us grounded of why we were, we were put together by these three amazing individuals, and for us, to continue that mission of making sure that we're empowering families.
Definitely. And how is Mano a Mano funded?
So we are funded through state, local grants, but the majority of our funding comes from private dollars, private donations. We know that we had to make a shift of being dependent on the state, especially with what happened with the previous administration under Governor Ronners. We saw a lot of nonprofits close their doors because unfortunately they were heavily relying on state dollars. And so what we try to do is not put all of our eggs in one basket and make sure that we diversify, make sure that most of our programs are funded through private dollars and foundations.
Okay, and we'll talk about some fundraisers later on coming up here.
Yes.
What geographical areas do you serve? I know Round Lake Park is where the epicenter was, where it began, but you've expanded since then.
Yes, we have expanded actually throughout Lake County, but we still feel that Round Lake Park is our home. The Round Lake area is our niche, so we want to make sure that, when we talk about the expansion and also us trying to do the expansion of our facilities, that we remain in Round Lake. But we serve Wakanda, Mundelein, Highland Park, and we recently opened an office in North Chicago. We also try to serve some of the eastern portions of McHenry County because we have clients that come from that area and we know that there's a need. And we've had the school district approach us about, doing more education components in their area. So we do Lake County, but we also do a little bit of eastern part of McHenry County.
Don't turn anyone away, huh?
Yes, yes.
So you mentioned several other locations. How do you determine which locations you want to open up a satellite in?
So what we do is we're pretty intentional about not duplicating services and about not stepping on anybody's toes. So we want to make sure that if there is a need, that there are no organizations that are meeting the need. And so when we see that opportunity, of course, we're going to go ahead and step in. That's the reason why, we get the question of why isn't Mano a Mano in Waukegan? And we're like, well, there's many service organizations in Waukegan. You don't need to add another layer to that. So we want to be very intentional. We know that there's limited resources, limited capacity, and we want to be where the needs are not being met by an organization.
Yeah, it makes sense. So you mentioned the community you serve is pretty much all of Lake County then, in essence.
Correct. Yes,
Okay.
yes.
And why is the census so important, especially for those communities that are hard to count?
So, as we know, the census comes once every 10 years. And the hard to count communities really are community members that are low income, either Latino, African American, they are LGBTQ, and also children under the age of 4 years old. And so for us, it's really important because when we don't count every single resident, we lose resources and we lose political power. And most of the community members that rely on these resources, it's pretty important for them to be educated and informed about really what the census is and why it's so important for them to fill it out. Most of our families in low-income areas are in survival mode, meaning that their focus is, making sure that they're going to work, making sure that there's food on the table, there's a roof on top of their heads, providing an education for their children. And so they don't really have that time to, be like, oh, okay, let's make sure that we fill out the census. Some of them might not even know what that is. They just know that it's a piece of paper that is asking them for all of this confidential information, about who lives in their home, about, their date of birth. And, it's a lot of confidential information that a lot of people may be afraid to answer because they don't know what's going to be done with that information, or the confidentiality component of what is the government going to do to make sure that it doesn't get shared and it's confidential.
You mentioned about funding. Our village also relies quite a bit on state and federal funding, and a lot of that is based on census counts. So we're also very interested in making sure the census count is accurate and that everyone gets counted, and it's the only fair way to do it. So I'm glad you guys are jumping in there.
Yes, definitely.
And what is Mano actually doing to help make sure the Latino community is aware of the census and its importance?
So what we did, we applied to a couple of grants that we were very grateful to receive, and so that gave us the opportunity to hire a program coordinator specifically to deal with census work. We also had a community engagement manager that was doing census work. And now recently we started hiring about 3 to 4 weeks ago our canvassers. And so we have a team right now of about 6 people that are going out. They're going to be canvassing, knocking on doors. They're going to be doing educational workshops in different communities. They also partake on the complete count committees throughout Lake County to make sure that information is being shared throughout the communities, so that it's not siloed. And we're also putting a social media campaign, and so all of that requires dollars, and so those grants were very, very helpful in us being able to come up with a plan and making sure that we educate our community about why this is so important. One of the things, especially for the Latino community, was the issue with the citizenship question. Most people don't know that it's not included. Some people know that it's not included, and they don't know if they're not citizens, should they fill it out, should they not fill it out? So it gets pretty confusing. And so that's why we go out there, we do the education, we knock on doors, we let them know, listen, the question's not on the census, please be sure to respond to it. And also, if you don't want people coming knocking on your door again, because if they don't send the census out, they're going to have enumerators come and knock at their door. And so, we're trying to make that push for them to be educated and also be sure that they send the census in.
Now, do you have a flyer you're going to be taking door to door to kind of explain it to people, or are you just going to do it verbally?
So we do it verbally. We also, what we did over the Christmas break, we had for all of our events do census commitment or pledge cards, so that people would fill it out. So what we do with those pledge cards, we call them and we let them know, hey, just a reminder, you made a pledge that you were going to fill out the census. It's coming to your home on such and such date. Please be sure that you fill it out. But pretty much it's just having that conversation, having that relationship with the community members to let them know that, we're here because we care, and we're here because we're trying to let you know that this is okay, it's safe for you to send, and it's important, or else we're going to lose a lot of resources and, the political power that comes with it.
Oh, great. Tonight we do have Jim DiDonato in our audience. He's the executive director of the Round Lake Area Library, and I know the library is also very involved in helping to get the census count done accurately through the whole Round Lake area. Have you been working with the library also, or is that kind of something independent?
So we work with everybody, right? We've had conversations with your staff as well. We are also working with the city of North Chicago. We're working with the North Chicago Public Library as well in regards to the census work. I think when you talk about the mission for Mano a Mano, it's impossible to say that we're an organization that can do it all, because we cannot. We rely on those partnerships, right? Like the libraries, like the police department, to be sure that we're able to serve our residents, and also to make sure that we drive that mission, but that they also know that we have these partners that are also there to serve them.
Okay. I do believe the library is going to have some kiosks set up, and we'll have to ask Jim later on if it's going to be available in Spanish also. I would think it would be. So.
Yeah, we are going to have, we're not going to have kiosks, but we are going to have Google Chrome laptops that people can come in. We're going to have hours, I believe in the afternoon hours, from 12 to 4, where people can just come into Mano a Mano and fill out their census online. We're going to have people there to help them if they have any questions. So it's going to be, a safe space where they can come and feel comfortable. A lot of people that are comfortable going to the library, it's just a lot easier for them, to be able to fill out the census online and ask for help if they need it.
Yeah, instead of doing all that writing in paper and all, you just type the information in and you're done. Yes.
Exactly.
What services does Mano a Mano provide other than census helping?
Yeah, so Mano a Mano has actually 5 programs. We have our Engaged Citizens program, which is our legal immigration program. We help clients with the renewal of their legal permanent residency. We help them apply for their citizenship once they're ready to take that step, which we really encourage them to do so. Any complex cases that we have, because we do have DOJ or Department of Justice accredited representatives that work for us, but any complex cases that we're not able to take, we do have a partnership with Beyond Legal Aid, which is a nonprofit firm of lawyers, of attorneys, immigration attorneys, and we also have a partnership with Zuma Law. And so we're able to refer those cases, but the wonderful thing about these partnerships is that the clients can still come into Mano a Mano and meet with the attorneys there at Mano a Mano. They don't have to drive to the city, they don't have to drive to Gurnee to be able to meet with them. They can just, come into Mano a Mano and they'll be seen by them. So we also do DACA renewals. And we are also, we have the component of the citizenship classes. Again, when people are ready to take that next step, there is a test that they have to take that the average person wouldn't be able to pass. But we do provide those classes for them. And also under the Engaged Citizens program, we also have the Liderazgo program. So this is an annual conference that we have for young, kind of molding those future leaders of our communities, young professionals, Latinos. So this past October, we had our second annual conference. And that's something that's pretty important to Mano a Mano, because we want to make sure that the youth is involved, that they're involved in the community, that they're involved in the issues that affect their community, and also to empower them. And if they ever want to seek or run for elected office, we want to make sure that they represent their community. So Liderazgo is something that we're super proud of, and something that we're going to have on an annual basis to make sure that they're being exposed to just different types of mentorship, and also networking with other leaders within their own communities.
Nice. And if somebody was interested in receiving some of the services that Mano a Mano offers, what's the most effective way for them to get those services?
So they can just call us at Mano a Mano. We're also have a big social media presence. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. They can also call our office, email us, And so the Engaged Citizens program was just one component of our programs. We have three more. So our Productive Parents program, that's our adult education program. We offer ESL classes, we offer computer classes, and also GED classes. We also have a career and education coach that once one of our community members is, say, done with their English classes, is there a possibility for them to get better employment? Or is there a possibility for them to move on to, taking their GED? Once they're done completing their GED, is there a possibility for them to get a training certificate? We have a partnership with the College of Lake County, and so do they want to move into higher education? Do they want to get their associates? So this career and education coach is there to continue to push them, towards their goals and make sure that they're successful in whatever goals they want to implement. Our Healthy Families program, we have case managers that help out with accessing public benefits. Also, we have the health navigators that help with registering for Marketplace when they need health insurance. We also have a social worker that takes the cases that need a little bit more attention or a little bit more that need more time to get the assistance that they need. We have the community garden at Murphy School, and so every summer, we have approximately 10 community members that have their plots. They grow their own vegetables, and they can either sell them at the farmer's market or just make sure that they're living a healthy lifestyle. We have our Promotoras de Salud, which is the Lake County Community Health Workers Partnership. We do deep classes that deal with diabetes. We do workshops that deal with hypertension. One of the things that I learned personally that really was impactful, that as just people we know, but we don't really pay attention, is, when you get diagnosed by a doctor and they say, well, you have diabetes and you need to take better care of yourself, you need to eat healthier, you need to exercise more. And this happens like in a span of like 10, 15 minutes maybe, right? And then they send you out the door. And so what our community health workers do is, for those people that say, okay, so if you're going to eat healthier, what does that mean? So me as a Mexican woman, it's like, so do I eat one tortilla or 6 tortillas, right? Or, do I have one Taco Tuesday or can I have 2 nights of tacos? So having that bicultural, bilingual educator that can really tell you, well, no, that means that you should just lay off the tortillas completely, right? It's very meaningful, very impactful, because they get that peer-to-peer education. There's no intimidation of, asking stupid questions. And so that's one of the programs that we're super proud of. And again, we hold these workshops at the Round Lake Library. We have them, right now we're offering them at the North Chicago office. And so it's pretty neat to see these individuals become educators of their own peers. And then 2 more programs, and I promise I'll be done. We have the Successful Children program, which is the kindergarten readiness program for children ages 3 to 5. The important aspect about that program is that in the Latino community, because daycare is something that's very expensive, it can be almost a mortgage, right, on a monthly basis. And so what we have is we have the relatives or the friends taking care of the children. And so those children miss out on the education component. And one of the things that our program does is we teach the parent to become their child's first teacher, right? And hopefully what we try to do is making sure that the parent feels comfortable in teaching their children, but also for them to take a bigger step, a bigger role of being involved in their education, not only now, but in the future, right, once they start school. And so what we do with the workshops, we also go to their homes if that's more convenient for them. We go to the parks. We go to just wherever it's convenient for the parent. Last but not least, our Democracy in Action program, which takes care of the census work, but also with the primaries coming in November, we know that our community is one that lags in coming out to vote. And so we're going to be doing voter registration drives, and we're also going to be doing getting out the vote for the November elections. So making sure that our community is informed, hey, elections are coming up, get out to vote, make sure that your voice is heard. So yeah, those are all of our programs. We keep busy at Mano a Mano. That's
Yeah, it
for
sounds
sure.
like some of those are definitely more geared towards the family and preserving the family, making sure they have the educational tools they need to raise the family properly and get the education in schools and find the resources they need in order to take care of their family.
And I think at the end of the day, you know, it benefits the entire community when we have immigrant community members that are more educated, meaning that they're not going to be reliable on taxpayers' dollars, right? Meaning that they're going to be contributing members, and that's what we want them to do, become full participants of their own communities. And so I think that's a win-win for everyone, for you, for me, to make sure that these resources are available to them.
Well, the United States is a great melting pot. As they say, you come here and you learn and you achieve, and hopefully they have the same opportunities.
Exactly.
We talked earlier about the funding to Mano a Mano. I mentioned you guys have a fundraiser coming up, the Monarch Gala. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes. So actually, I was told I was here for an event for the Chamber of Commerce about a month ago, and I was informed that actually gala used to take place right here, in years ago when we first started. But now we've outgrown the space. Thankfully to our partners. Our attendance is about 300 people, and so it's going to be on Saturday, April 18th. So we're inviting everyone here, everyone in the community to join us. We are very grateful that this is our 20th year anniversary. We have a great gala planned for everybody. We are super excited. And I think this is, again, Mano a Mano, it's a community effort. And so we have had, various supporters throughout the years, and we're pretty grateful to, having our 20th year anniversary. We also have other things that we're going to kick off at the gala for the rest of the year to continue celebrating not only Mano a Mano, but also the communities that we serve.
Yeah, it's always very well attended, and it's a lot of fun. They have, I know Bruce Johnson's wife has the dancers out there all the time, and they're always fun to watch. And it's an exciting time.
Very exciting. So we look forward to having you as well.
Yeah, I know I've missed, I think, the last 2 years because I was out of town, but I haven't looked at my calendar yet for April 18th, right?
We'll claim it that you'll be in town and you'll be in attendance.
Okay. Can you explain or describe any community partnerships Mano a Mano has?
So as I mentioned earlier, like I said, we wouldn't be able to do all the work that we do, as I, just explained, with all the partnerships that we have, right? And so, again, with the Round Lake Public Library, we have our various workshops. We also have, partnerships with the Lake County Health Department, A Safe Place, Nicasa, and it's just the work that we do is so much that we wouldn't be able to do it without the support of our partners. Also, Round Lake, our facility in Round Lake, we're running out of space, so we're always looking to do workshops, health workshops, education about Know Your Rights, also public charge presentations at different schools. The schools have been a huge partner of ours. We do our Zumba classes at Murphy School, and as I mentioned, we have the community garden there. Whenever they have, their back to school event, we make sure that we participate, that we're there for the families, for them to know that not only do we support the school, but we're also there to provide any type of resources that the families may need. And so for us, to be honest with you, I think the list of our partners is about 30 to 40. Nice. So because we work all over Lake County, we want to make sure that we establish those, relationships and that connection with our partners to be able better to serve the community.
Well, we can all accomplish a lot more when we work together. That's always true.
Exactly, yes.
Can you describe, kind of in general, how does Mano a Mano interact with the local villages, other local governments, the county, the state, or even townships, like the school district, library, other park district, all those kind of things? Is there a certain way you guys work with the different types of government, or is it all pretty much the same, the way you deal with this all?
I think it depends on the project or the initiative. And so I know that, for example, right now we have a partnership with the township advocate, Aurora Healthcare, the Northern Illinois Food Bank, and we have, it's called the mobile food pantry, and it's actually held at the Round Lake Library. So I think we should bring Jim over here, right, since we're talking so much about the library. But again, it's all about partnerships, right? And so what we do is we provide these vouchers for low-income families that are in need of, that food supply. And so with the township or healthcare, Northern Illinois Food Bank, the library, we've been able to serve hundreds of families that otherwise may have a very difficult time getting the food that they need for their families. And so I think it just depends again on the project or initiative, so that's one. The other one, of course, going back again to the census, making sure that we are there to provide the support for, such as the city, the hard-to-count communities, the city of North Chicago, Round Lake Park, Round Lake Beach, and making sure that, the Latino community is educated. And so it really just depends. I think it's something that we customize, and we're always open to partners reaching out. Hey, we're thinking about doing this. What do you guys think? Would you like to be involved? And 99.99% of the time, we're always there, right? As long as it serves the community members and it serves a purpose. Again, we want to be intentional. We don't want to duplicate services. And so I think that, again, it just depends on the initiative.
I know Avon Township has a food pantry also.
Correct.
Are you kind of working in conjunction with them also?
Yes. So Avon Township is one of the partners for the mobile food pantry.
Okay. And are there any restrictions when people come to your event for the food that's given?
No, so we have these vouchers, and actually this initiative is being led by Aurora Advocate Healthcare. They provide vouchers to different agencies and organizations, and Mano a Mano is one of them. And so we get a certain number of vouchers per month that we give out to families. To be honest with you, it's of course families that are low income that really need this type of assistance. And so the requirements really are very flexible. I know that we've had in the past families that actually just showed up at the day of the event to find out if they can get, a box. And of course, we don't turn anybody away. So.
Okay. Are there any other financial resources or assistance to the residents provided through Mano a Mano? And if so, how do residents get access to those resources?
So that goes back to our Healthy Families program, where we have case managers that meet with the families, depending on what the assistance is. Pretty much, it's called Mano a Mano Family Resource Center, because we want to make sure that we utilize all the resources that are out there to provide the assistance to the families. We don't offer direct monetary assistance. What we do is we look for agencies that are already doing that work and that have those funds allocated for the type of assistance that the client is seeking. And so we do a very good job of, again, leveraging those partnerships, right, to make sure that the family that's seeking the assistance, that the assistance is being met.
And why would you tell someone why is Mano Mano such a valuable organization in Lake County, what would be your elevator speech?
Our mission. I think that, I wouldn't call it the elevator speech. I think what I would call it is just something that is very personal and very dear to me because I am also an immigrant and a daughter of an immigrant, single mother that came to this country looking and seeking to a better life. For me and for my brother. And so for me, it's, that mission of empowering immigrant families. To me, the word empowering is such a key word because, there's this saying that you can teach someone or you can give someone, I don't know how the saying goes.
Give a man a fish, feed him for a
yes.
day. Teach a man to fish, feed him for a lifetime.
Exactly,
yes.
exactly. And so by us empowering our community members, making them think outside the box and letting them know that there are all these opportunities in this country that they can take advantage, and that no matter where they are currently in life, that there's always a path ahead and that there's always a way to be successful and accomplish their goals. And I think that that's what Mano a Mano is there for. That's what we're there to do, is to be servants to the community, to make sure that we're empowering them. And I think that, not only for them to become, full participants, for me, full participants is taking that step of going above and beyond and making sure that you're civically engaged and making sure that you register to vote and making sure that you're making your voice heard, that you're going to candidates forums, that you're electing people that are going to work for you and that represent your values, right? I think that that is super, super important for me because I've done a lot of, community work, but I've also seen what the policy side of things. I've also seen the political side of things. And so for Mano a Mano, we provide like this holistic approach to our community members and making sure that we are providing them with everything that they need, but also to make sure that they go above and beyond in becoming civically engaged.
Several times you've mentioned the Hispanic community. I know that the Round Lake area especially, we have a large Hispanic immigrant population. Do you also serve immigrants from Asia or Africa or Europe?
Yeah, we serve, anybody that comes through our doors, right? So I just had a conversation a few minutes ago about, yes, we serve the immigrant population, but we will serve anybody that comes through our doors, anyone that needs assistance, anyone that needs help. You don't have to be an immigrant to come to Mano a Mano. Most of our programs are geared towards immigrants, but we do see, people from India. We do see people from the Middle Eastern part of the world, and so we're pretty much open to help anyone.
And is there anything else you want to talk about Mano a Mano that we haven't touched on yet?
Wow, I think we touched pretty much everything, but I think one of the key things for me is, again, our partners, the support from this community, the support, from you, Mayor, just the support, from Chief Rivera. It's really important for us to have those, strategic partnerships because, again, there's a lot of work to be done, and Mano a Mano cannot do it on its own. And I've had, awesome predecessors before me that have laid down the groundwork. And one of the things that we're super, we take pride in is the relationship that we built with the communities that we serve. So I just want to say thank you.
Well, it's been very important for us also. They're our residents, and we want to make sure they have the best in their lives and their futures, and Mano a Mano has done a lot to help them to achieve that, and we appreciate all you guys have done in the organization. 20 years, boy, looking back, it's hard to believe it's been 20 years.
20 years from a storefront to
that's right.
Now, the facility that we have and, future plans of expanding our facilities, that's something that we're looking into. But again, making sure that we stay home right here in the
Yes.
Round Lake area.
Well, if you have a few extra minutes, maybe we see if there's any audience questions.
Sure, not a problem.
Anyone in the audience have any questions for us tonight?
I know I talked a lot.
Well, it's always nice when you can explain everything so they don't have any questions at the end.
Yes,
So.
definitely.
Well, we do appreciate everyone being here tonight. We have another Fireside Chat coming up next month. You can check our Facebook page for the Round Lake Beach Cultural and Civic Center for all the information on there. We look forward to that. And I always give all my guests a Round Lake Beach pin. I hope you will wear that with pride.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you so
and
much. I appreciate it.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.